Hello, my name is Justin Larshite, and this is my Week 8 video discussion, Workplace Conflict. So here we go. Any of the information from the weekly readings? I found the readings very interesting. From the first one, Workplace Conflict, 4 contrasting pathways to managing workplace conflict. Those were a little bit confusing. I'll just run through them real quick. Develop integrated ADR style conflict management systems. Make improvised changes to conventional multi-step conflict management practices when necessary. Promote informal conflict management through increased line management involved in conflict management. And socialize conflict out of the organization through employment engagement and related practices. I understand what all of that means. Obviously they're contrasting pathways to managing workplace conflict. So each one has its own strengths and weaknesses. However, it just seems like it's putting a lot of emphasis more on the manager, even though, the other reading spoke about how when there's workplace conflict, that's usually a direct failure of management. But I just feel that when there's workplace conflict, there's an even accountability or responsibility between the employees and management, because it doesn't just stem from management, nor does it just stem from the employees. So, those I would need to do a little bit more analyzing, as the reading said that more research would need to be done to fully understand those pathways and go about how to implement each different solution to each scenario. Every context is different, therefore each solution would be a little different. The next reading, the literature or a little bit more through in that reading, the literature considers workplace conflict in an entirely negative light. That's kind of what I just spoke about. A symptom of managerial failure that needs to be avoided, as it distracts from the core goal of creating high performance organizations. That totally makes sense. I feel that it's a responsibility of the managers to make sure that their employees have all the necessary tools and are in the right environment and are working with the right people. Not everybody gets along. It's up to the managers to understand those differences in personalities and understand how those differences can become strengths within a group setting. I think that's really accurate, because it puts a lot of emphasis on the role of a manager, not just doing the direct manager behavior, but the indirect manager behavior of understanding the psychology of your employees and the behavior of your employees and the personalities of your employees. So that was cool. Next, the benefits of conflict. That was a little weird, because at first you always think of conflict in a negative connotation. However, after doing the reading, that started to make sense. That the 3 paradigms that are particularly useful for understanding the different ways in which task conflict can drive high performance in teams. Task conflict and team performance can be positive when tasks are sufficiently complex. That makes a lot of sense. If there's a challenge and everybody is focused on that challenge, and it really motivates, and through that motivation, I think a coming together of sense of purpose happens within the group. People put aside their differences and emotional tiffs and things like that to actually focus on the purpose of the team and the actual end goal of what they're there for. And when you can do that, that's a real key factor of a high performing team right there. The next one, when conditions are in the place that enhance the ability of the team to process information. That kind of plays back on what I just said. If you're presenting a challenge to a team and that challenge is well within their realm of intellectual capacity and abilities as a team as a whole, not just individuals but as the whole, then I think it can really harness that fire within the team to do great and to really find purpose and to address what the challenge is and what the goal and meet the goals that are set. The last one, when conflict is expressed in an appropriate manner when it emerges, clear communication. That's crucial, absolutely crucial when it comes to teams and the success of teams. Don't put it under the rug. Don't brush the conflict under the rug or act like it didn't happen, because that's when it festers. You got to address that conflict when it happens and when it emerges so it doesn't fester, become a bigger problem, or involve other group members other team members or other group members that weren't even involved in the first place, because then you have a huge conundrum on your hands and nothing is ever going to get done then. Two fundamental theories of team conflict: complexity and information processing, and conflict expressions. That was that was a little confusing. I would need to do a little bit more reading on that, but it made sense to a degree. The last reading, responses to workplace conflict, individual factors of cognitive flexibility, an appropriate balance of self-other focus, emotional regulation, and a fit of the person to the conflict situation show promise for conflict success and appear to be trainable assets and tools. That, in essence, that really summed up that reading for me. In order to resolve conflict properly, you have to be able to know how to respond. Not react, but respond. And those responses that I said are key in being able to handle conflict properly, decisively, and resolutely, if I can say that, to where it's there's a resolution, there's an end to it. It doesn't sort of get handled in the moment to where this person is okay and that person's okay. It gets handled then and there. And in order to do that, there has to be a clear a clear non-involvement of ego. And what I mean by that is ego, when you involve ego, you tend to have less emotional aptitude, and you have less patience, and you have less empathy, and definitely less sympathy. And with that, you can't work with other people. People who have huge egos are extremely hard to work with. What I found is when you can leave ego at the door within a group setting, it only is going to enhance all aspects of that group synergy. Everybody can really work together and not have the hang up on, this person didn't involve me, or this person said something to me that was rude. When you don't have ego, you don't focus on that stuff. It doesn't matter. And that's really how you can move forward in a positive light and succeed with the group as a whole and take care of the job at hand. So that was my thoughts on the reading. As I said, I found they were very interesting. The most one I found interesting was the benefits of the conflict. That was kind of cool, because it's kind of a contradiction or a paradox. You think of, there's no benefits to conflict, but yes, there are benefits to conflict. Second question, what have you done when there has been conflict in a work group situation? Like I just said, the leaving the ego at the door. There's always going to be some type of conflict within a work group setting, or any group setting, sports, social, anytime. And whenever there's going to be conflicting views, conflicting personalities, conflicting ideas on how to handle the job or the situation, there's always going to be conflict that arises. However, if you're able to leave the ego at the door and understand that you're all there for the same purpose, you're all there to benefit each other, you're all there to include and to help, then I feel that fosters a very and nurtures a very positive aura, for lack of better words, or group ideal to really make things happen for your group. So conflict, so that's what I mean. If whenever I've found that I'm able to leave my ego at the door and not involve that, then I'm able to work with my group members a lot easier and handle what we need to do. Do you ultimately believe that conflict is beneficial? Like I said, that was one of my favorite readings of this week, and I believe after reading that conflict is beneficial within limits. As I said, there's different paradigms or structures or scenarios that usually make conflict beneficial. However, all contexts are different, and I feel that conflict can be beneficial, if it really is handled in a respectful manner, and that there is an understanding on both parties or all parties on what the overall goal of the group is, then people don't lose perspective and get into the emotional battles. They handle conflict the way it needs to be handled, hopefully, and then they move on. So that is my discussion. Hope you like it. Have a good night. Bye.